Hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast. This is our impromptu sort of what's next for Aston Villa / Brentford preview. A nice little discussion with all of you Villa fans on your thoughts of what you've made of what happened yesterday, sort of performance, Gerrard getting the sack. We got a few different topics that we're going to run through. But if you are new around here, we've had a burst of new subscribers. We've had a lot of new comments, a load of views as well, which has just been fantastic. I can't fault you guys at home for the way you view this channel and the way you get involved with it as well. So if you are new around here, subscribe. We're about 6 away from 9k now. My ultimate goal when I set this up was to get to 10. So we're virtually there, really. So if you are new, subscribe, drop a like on this video or push it out now onto YouTube and comment your thoughts on everything. So there's been a lot of talk about what happened yesterday, Gerrard getting the sack. A lot of noise about new manager, who's going to be coming in. But the way I woke up this morning was relief. Just relief, to be fair. I felt like a weight had been lifted when I was talking to you like last night. And it just felt like we need this new, fresh start. And I hate to say another new era amongst Villa, the direction in which we need to go in. A lot of things need to change, which we will get into on this. But, initially, relief. I've not been looking forward to watching Villa, and you guys know that I'm the most positive Villa fan going. So if I've been down about things and stuff like that, then it must be bad. But it was needed. It's not been good enough. It's not been good enough for a decent amount of time now. And the change was needed. I've been listening to TalkSport, and I was listening to TalkSport coming home, and they had various people on, and they were talking about what's gone wrong, and just not one of them has alluded to the biggest problem, and the style of play and the tactics, which were, for me, the most important thing that was horrifically going wrong. And, everybody's just been talking about, was it too big? Should he have stayed here? Should he have done this? But, it just weren't good enough. So start off with you, Justin. We've not seen you for about a week. So offer your thoughts on how you are now feeling. And if you want to give a bit of what has gone wrong, basically, as well.
Yes, good week to have a week off, wasn't it? Crikey, O'Reilly. What's gone wrong is, I think, the Steven Gerrard project hasn't worked, has it? The Christian Purslow, which it always seemed to be his signing in Gerrard, has just not worked at all, has it? I think we saw 1 or 2 games in the early days when he got a bit of a tune out of him. But since then, it's just been pretty much flat ever since, and he's never really managed to get us going at all. The odd half a game, at best, I'm going to be very generous to say the odd half a game we've looked all right. But in general, like you say, his failings and the reason he's lost his job is his style and his tactics, and the way he set the Villa up hasn't worked at all, and he's utterly refused to budge from that style and tactics. He tried to bring players in to complement how he wants to play, but the thing that worked for him at Rangers and he stuck with, and it did take a while, to be fair to him, to get it over at Rangers, and it eventually did start to work. But I think we all know that the Scottish League is totally different to the English League, and he came down to England, I think, with all good intentions. Ultimately, Steven Gerrard has failed at Villa, and we part ways now, both worse off than when he came. He's in a worse position than when he came to Villa because his stock was reasonably high, having had a good spell at Rangers, came to Villa with a decent reputation, trying to build on that because he wanted to come down and show he could do it in the Premier League. And he's left now with these, I'm not going to say in tatters, but he's in big trouble now because I've no doubt he'll get another job when he wants it, and whenever that is, I don't know. but he's got to hit the ground running in his next job, because he's going to be just, people aren't going to want to touch him, are they? And his end goal, I presume, is to manage Liverpool. I can't see that coming if he replicates what he's done at Villa in any other job he's got. So yeah, we are worse off now since he's come in and gone, and he's worse off. So ultimately, it's failed on both counts, hasn't it? And it's a shame, because I don't think he wanted it to fail. I'm sure he wanted us to be in the top half by now and pushing on for Europe. That was the plan at the start of the season. But he just hasn't been able to do it, and because he's been really rigid and structured, and he won't change his philosophy, and it hasn't worked, and he hasn't got a plan B. I think losing Beale in the summer was big for him, although I will say that I don't think we were fantastically good when Beale was here. So I think the Beale thing, I'm not going to say it's a myth, because he's doing really well at QPR, and he's had this, obviously linked with the Wolves job this week, which I think he's sensibly turned down, because I think he's learning his trade. But I think overall it's been a disaster, hasn't it? I'm struggling to think, and we've had some absolute whoppers in my time, of a worse manager.
Yeah, to be fair, I do think he is one of the worst. And, it was a culmination of things. We will move on from Gerrard after this as well, so we won't keep going on about him. But it was a culmination of things that horribly went wrong, and there was a lot of them. You starting pre-season, you'd lost Beale, your new coach Critchley weren't on that Australian tour, so that was already a bit of a mess. We come back to England just before the season starts, we strip Tyrone of the captaincy, and then around the Bournemouth game we get the noise of the interview what he gave, which was just not good in my opinion. I mean, some things you need to keep behind closed doors. So that didn't help in itself, did it? And just the form and the way he went about things, and his mannerisms, and I just think ultimately it all just sort of just caved in on him, didn't it? And then even like the Sarr deal, we announced that we bid for Sarr, and then 2 days later, we don't want him. And it's like, what was going on with all that? So I just think it all felt like it was just one big mess. And, he would never revert from that formation and that system, which was just so narrow and just not working. And, chopping and changing all the time. And you could just clearly see that it just wasn't working. And in the end, Villa fans, enough was enough, wasn't it? So, Ryan, what are your thoughts then? How are you feeling now?
Yes, fully agree with you both on the Gerrard thing. I think one of the main other things we've not mentioned there is the disconnection to the fan base. You just felt that he never really brought into the club and what we're all about, and the applauding of the fans after games that have travelled thousands of miles around the country was non-existent, and it hurts. It hurts the fan base when that isn't happening. Front up and just show your appreciation that we are still selling out every single away end. I was there last night with 3,000 other lost souls, and it was an away day I've never really experienced. It was quite chill before the game. Everyone's having a beer. You're mixing with the home fans as well, which was quite unique. But Villa fans just weren't up for it, man. There's no singing before the game. Game kicks off, and instantly you knew after the first kick, didn't you? We was in trouble. When Willian starts looking like prime Willian, and the set pieces were like absolutely awful. You could see the defending, and we were just waiting to get punished on that corner after corner. You could see the man on the edge of the box, and when that goal went in, it's no surprise. And we just hit self-destruction mode. And when you're hitting that and your heads are dropping and you're losing all type of discipline, you just know that it's over. Like, the crowd was apathetic. It was very muted. And then once that second one went in, it started to turn. Then it started to get very moody. The songs started to come out, and you just felt, and me personally, like, that was it for me. Second one went in. It's like, get out now. It's time. It really was time to go, because that performance last night was pathetic. It was pathetic. And the players have got to pick themselves up from it as well. They're just as much to blame for that performance yesterday. Some of the passing and the play was absolutely horrendous. So it's a big job. It's a big job for the next man coming in. And all I hope now as a positive is for us not to be in that relegation zone over the World Cup period, because that would be torture, wouldn't it? That would be torture. So we just got to try and dust ourselves down and go again on Sunday with a bit more positivity.
That leads us on to the next section. Villa fans, drop a like on this stream. It'll push it out onto YouTube. If you're new, subscribe. Next section, new manager then, Villa fans. Who is it going to be? I'm currently not sure. I haven't got a clue who I think we're going to go with. But today, if you're reading reports on various news outlets, Pochettino is not going to be coming to Aston Villa. That's what it looks like from what I've been seeing. You know how Villa operate under the radar. So, who knows? I doubt we've told anyone who we're going for anyway. But, it looks like it won't be Pochettino. My dream ultimate manager was Tuchel, but obviously that's never going to happen. So then that leads you on to the next section, and the one that's sort of the one that has got the most noise around it at the minute is Amorim from Sporting Lisbon. A very, very young manager, a really up-and-coming manager in European football. He's currently got Lisbon into the Champions League. He's highly regarded as one of the best young coaches in Europe. And if any of you has a little look on the Tifo video on YouTube about him, it tells you about where he started from with Braga and then managing them only for a couple of months and then getting the Lisbon job and doing so well with Lisbon. So he has done really, really well. And what I've been reading is a great manager. His system is really good. It's a 3-4-3. They're very good defensively, but also very good going forward as well. So I like the sound of it. It is a risk. Every manager is a risk. So you could get anyone and they're a risk. So I do think he would be a risk because he doesn't know the Premier League. Next, you've sort of got the Thomas Frank sort of rumour. He sort of squashed it today by saying he's got unfinished business with Brentford. So you can understand that one. Amorim does have a release clause as well, which is about 20-30 million. And then you're sort of filtering down to like the Sean Dyches, which I'm not sure on that one either. So, Justin, Villa fans, shout out your names now and I'll get them all on the screen and we'll try and get sort of like what the vibe is then. So just put the name and I'll put them all on the screen. So, Justin, where's your head at? Where do you think we need to go? And who's standing out for you?
I think, we've all got our what we'd love. So our top tier managers, who if money wasn't an option and nothing else was a problem, and we could just choose anybody, then I think like the Tuchels and the Poches would be high for everybody, wouldn't they? High on everybody's list. But I think you have to take yourself back a little bit from those initial sort of hopes. Unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say it, I think they're just out of our reach currently. I think what we've seen this season at Villa and where we currently sit in the table and where we currently are performance-wise, these kind of managers will only come to established Champions League clubs now. They're sitting there. They don't have to work. They will wait now for a big job, if you like, a Champions League job to come available. And I don't think it even matters how much the owners are going to throw at them. That I still don't think you're going to persuade them to give up their cushy lifestyles for what it would be a real project at Villa. And I think, we are a massive club and we potentially are as big as anything, but we're a work in progress and we're nowhere near it at the moment. So it would be a 2, 3, 4 year building job to get us into the top 4 at least. So I don't see that happening. We are going to have to get another bridging manager, if you like, to take us from where we are to that point. So when you look at the sort of next in the line, I've got the latest betting here, and Amorim. I can't think of Amorim. He's obviously favourite, even money. Emery doesn't go away. The Unai Emery link hasn't gone away. That's a very interesting one because I do class him as a top-level manager. And although he didn't have a great spell at Arsenal, I do think he's got unfinished business in the Premier League and he's been successful everywhere he's gone. His track record in Europe is unbelievable. So that's a very interesting one. And then you go down to what you've just said, the Deutsches and the Franks. A name that's come up here that I've never heard of even now, Tedesco. I don't know where he's from. He's now 16-1, so he's down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 8th favourite currently, so he's come from.
Make that point you were making to me in our group chat today about anyone coming in because to be fair,
it's true. Based on what we have seen so far up to now, I think any manager that's got even a modicum of ability can get better out of what we currently have at Villa. We haven't got a shit squad. We've got a very good squad. We're full of players that are underperforming. And I have to believe that's down to the manager and what he has installed in them over 12 months. And they just haven't bought into it. They don't believe in it. Like Ryan said, you and me went to Forest on Monday, and we saw it was like a carbon copy. What Ryan was just explaining there before the game, no atmosphere. During the game, just sitting there and not no shit. Although I thought the fans were fantastic. That's not very loud. It's they've sucked. He has sucked the life out of the club. You know. I think managers have to be likeable as well. I think they have to come in, and to an extent, nobody would ever have come in and done what Dean Smith did at Villa. And it's a little bit like, I suppose, not in the same way, but when Fergie left at Old Trafford, who was going to replace that? Nobody was going to replicate what he did there. Now, while Smith didn't have, obviously, the success on the field that he had, putting the trophies in the cabinet, to go in after him, where he was literally loved by every single fan and try and take us to the next level, it was almost an impossibility. And I think he suffered from that a little bit. And I think he was poor with the press as well. So whoever now comes in has to take the club by the scruff of the neck, like a Big Ron type that came in and just waltzed into Villa Park like he owned the place. Yes, I'm good enough. Martin O'Neill did it when he arrived at Villa Park. You felt like, Christ, this bloke, he's got to lift the club on his shoulders, the fans on his shoulders, the players on his shoulders, and all of our aspirations. He's got to carry. The manager has to carry all of that and be able to deliver it out on the pitch. And only certain characters can do that. And do you know what? In the position we're in, where we are, Sean Dyche seems to have that kind of gravitas. Do you know what I mean? He stands on the touchline and people seem to respect him. Yes, it went wrong for him at Burnley, but I think that was a bit down to, the way he had to work at Burnley. He was constantly having to sell players. He was constantly trying to keep them up every season, and eventually it caught up with him. Is he the perfect option? Is he my number one choice? Absolutely not. But, I certainly don't want to happen to what's happened to Wolves. You get rid of a manager and your first 2, 3, 4 choices just turn you down, and you end up having to keep your temporary manager for the foreseeable and hoping that somebody sticks their head above the parapet and wants to take the job on. I don't want that. I want somebody that can take the job on. Can Sean Dyche take us from where we are to the top 8? Yes, he can. Would that put us in a position then to be able to go and maybe step up a level of manager that we want now that we currently can't get, that we could get if we was in the top 6, 7 or 8? Yes, that would happen. It's very difficult. This is one of my worries of sacking Gerrard. He became an absolute essential thing to sack Steven Gerrard. It was a no-brainer. He had to go. But you have to be very careful with what you wish for, because you can only work with what's around and what's available. Sean Dyche is obviously available. Thomas Frank has ruled himself out. It seems that a lot of the others, Tuchel's ruled himself out. Pochettino seems a really, really long shot now. So what else is available and what is realistic? I think that's the biggest word of the day. Realistic. Currently, would you do worse than Sean Dyche? I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I'll let you go with that, Ryan.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying with Dyche. If you look at us off the field, off the pitch, the plans we've got, then we're screaming out for an elite coach. If you assess our performances in the last, 18 months to 2 years possibly, then potentially we are screaming out for a Dyche to come in, steady the ship and put us back on the right path. But for me, I don't know, I'm thinking, looking at someone a bit more expansive. I know maybe that's the in thing at the minute, someone with a bit of philosophy, someone with a style. But I think that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see from a Villa manager. Someone strong-minded, actually believe in their tactics, and someone with great man management. And that is what we really need, and what I really desire for our next manager. We've got whoever comes in has got a lot of work to do. I'm just looking at the comments coming through. No one's calling for Southgate coming back to Villa. No. Imagine him and McPhee on the sidelines together.
Just quick, I'm with you, Ron. I'm looking at the comments and I can see a lot of people are going, no Dyche, no Dyche. I am not sitting here saying he's my number one choice, Sean Dyche. I am simply saying we are having to be realistic. As a fan base, we have to sometimes temper where we are, and we all want the best manager in the world. We're not going to get that. We're just not. We fall from bottom.
Maybe it's a bit of snobbery, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Of course it is.
What could be very stable for us.
Yeah, when we want a new forward, we want bloody the best forward in the world. We want the best defender. Of course we do. We want the best for our club. But looking at what's available and what's realistic, we have to cut our cloth to where we are, and I'm sure the owners are going after the best possible manager they can possibly get. And if they could persuade Pochettino to take the job, I am convinced they would pay him whatever he wants. I'm just saying we have to be careful, because if he turns us down, we don't want to be left up the creek without a paddle.
What do you think, Luke? I've got a sneaky feeling, that we could just pull just a complete random out the bag. I've seen someone's commented Mancini there. That's not a bad shout, that isn't. Italy obviously haven't qualified for the World Cup. But I do like Emery as well. And I think he can be prized away from Villarreal. I know they're playing in Europe.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility.
But the size of that club is minuscule compared to Villa and the Premier League and the lore of that. But I don't know. I just got a sneaky feeling that we're going to pull something unexpected out the bag.
What about Scott Parker?
Nah, not for me.
Nah.
John Terry?
No chance.
Going back down to I'm just looking at managers who are a bit further down the sort of line.
You're just looking at the bottom of the barrel, mate.
No, well, Villas-Boas, I know a few people have mentioned him today. Nuno hasn't got a job at the moment. I'm not keen on him. Bielsa has been mentioned in certain quarters as well. I think short term he would do okay. I'm not a massive fan of Marcelo Bielsa by any stretch of imagination. But like you said, Ryan, and like Dyche, whether you like him or not, he comes in with a clear way of playing, a clear style, a clear philosophy, which is everything we've said Gerrard hasn't got. These managers have, and they've built a career out of them, haven't they? It's not ideal, it's not perfect, and I hope we can get better, but, we might end up with something like this.
Yeah, I think it's important that from what I'm hearing, it's Suarez is leading the search, which again I think is very, very important. They've pumped serious dough in on the playing side of things, and it now feels like this appointment has got to work. It's got to work, and it's got to be the right one, which is really, really important. Do you know what I mean? We can't afford this to fail, because if it does fail,
we're looking down the barrel,
we are, we're in big trouble. And I don't want the owners to get bored either, and I don't want them to sort of feel like it's just they're on the end of like a sinking ship. So, yeah,
I do feel though they need a big discussion about it, because remember when the owners first come in and they wanted a big name, and it was Thierry Henry, and look how bad that went. In the end, they plumped for Smith, and obviously Perslow's plumped for Gerrard this time round. So we've really not got to rush into this one. They must have been looking at managers. Gerrard's position has been under threat for the last 3-4 games, but potentially any one of them games he could have got given the boot. So surely, as a board, you are assessing managers. You're sounding people out to see who's available, and I'd rather them just take a bit of time. Part of me thinks take a little bit of time and get this right. But then the other half of me is like, crikey, we have virtually in the relegation zone. We need to get this done sharpish.
We have got the World Cup as well, which is, there's a big spell of time there, isn't there?
That's going to be very, very good for Villa.
Yeah,
in a sense
good timing.
It's a pre-season, isn't it?
Now, majority of our players were internationals, and they're now currently not. Right? Ollie Watkins not. Mings, Luca Dean was out the side. Louise out the side. So there ain't many Villa players that are going to the World Cup. So we've got a new manager that's going to have a whole month to utilise and learn his squad. It's going to be like a mini pre-season, basically.
Yeah, and ideally he'll come in hopefully soon. I mean, it was interesting today when they had the interview with Danks. He said he'd been asked to take the team for the next few days. He never said he's had it for a few weeks. He said, I want it for a few days. So if they did have somebody lined up to come in, they're going to have 4 or 5 games to get into the squad and know what they've got, and then about a 6-week mini pre-season, and then a few games, and then the transfer window opens. So timing-wise, it could really work in our favour, the way it's happened, really. And it's very interesting that, by all accounts, Suarez was the one that was pissed off last night, left the stands and went and fired him half an hour after the game. So, for me, that's a real positive, because it shows the owners have bypassed Christian Purslow, who we are concerned about, I think, and are now acting. And they brought Purslow in, obviously, to oversee things. They trusted him with the Gerrard appointment, but it does seem to be now that they are now bypassing Purslow, and I would like to see that expanded by the owners. I want to see Purslow off football matters. What I mean by that is day-to-day football matters. I want to see him in control of the club. You look after the club, you bring in a director of football to sort football matters out, and you leave that to them. You leave them to sort out the football matters, because then you are far enough away from it to make a decision where you're not involved like you seem to be all the time with his meddling. I think he's a decent CEO. He's not a football CEO. He doesn't know, in my opinion, that he shouldn't be meddling things like that. So we need a possible restructuring of the recruitment department, which that means Lang might go, director of football, decent head coach, an assistant head coach, and a couple of coaches on top of it. We've seen so many coaches at Villa. It's ridiculous. I mean, we fired about 8 today, and we've still got 3 available for the game on Sunday. It's just ridiculous. So
Newcastle were in a similar place, weren't they? 12 months ago, when we were both together, we were both sacked-down managers. We were both looking for new managers, and they was in a mess as well, weren't they? Directors of football, people getting involved, too many coaches, and now look at them. They've settled down. They've got a steady manager in. How
this is what
would Eddie? Would we be turning our nose? Okay, let's just play devil's advocate here for a minute. If Eddie Howe weren't manager in Newcastle, he still hadn't got a job, and he was on that list now, would you be calling for him over everybody else? Would you say let's have Eddie Howe as? Would you be happy to have Eddie Howe as manager?
I don't think Villa fans would be. I think they'd be saying, "Oh, why do we want Eddie Howe? Any ever managed Bournemouth? Blah 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 blah." And like you say, it's a very good point. This time last year, they hired Eddie Howe, we hired Steven Gerrard, and we thought we got the best end of the stick there. Yeah, in 12 months, a steady Premier League manager that's never won anything, that's never been in the top 4s, and he's not had international experience, has just got on with his job. Another manager that knows his way around the game, has got a clear plan, a clear philosophy, a clear style, and he's just done it. That's what I'm saying, that I think that's possibly where we need to be heading.
Yeah, so I think in that little bit of the World Cup as well, we have got a friendly against Cardiff as well, haven't we? So I'm guessing we will have a couple of games in between friendlies. So that will be important as well. So our next point then is going to be what needs to change. Obviously, we need a new manager. We all know that. But one thing that I have been really annoyed about this season are some of the players. I think it's okay to blame Gerrard. It's okay to blame the system. But some of those players are just letdown merchants all the time. And I think they need to have a long, hard look at themselves now and realise that they've got to improve massively and they've got to do more. And we can't keep having this culture of being so flaky and mopey and just disinterested. So that's one thing that I'd like to pick up on. I think, I mentioned it yesterday. A couple of the players, Watkins needs to sort himself out. Danny Ings needs to sort himself out, because the level of performances that I've seen off them two, especially yesterday, was absolutely woeful. Leon Bailey, against City, absolutely blockbuster, weren't it? That finish, and you're like, oh my God, he's on the scene now. It's like, kick on. And then, his dad's like, Bailey needs to do this. It's all, we'll go to Ajax, we'll do this, we'll do that. He's so inconsistent. Some of the defenders, McGinn needs to have a long, hard look at himself, because he can't pass a ball 5 yards. He can't pass to a teammate. It's all dysfunctional, what I'm seeing, and there needs to be a collective responsibility. Hopefully, with a new coach coming in, a philosophy, a brand of football, that will help, because it looks like they haven't got a clue what they're meant to be doing to start with. But I do think they need to deliver more week in, week out. Ryan, what do you make of my points there?
Yes, completely agree with you. On the coach back last night, I was thinking to myself, is there any player I'd be disappointed if they went to another club? Martinez, maybe Ramsey, and that's about it. There's times where McGinn, I'd hate to see him move, and I don't think I'd be that bothered now if we could replace him, because some of the performances were shocking. Now, I don't know whether the confidence, Gerrard's just drained it all out of them, because them players just, they weren't at the races yesterday. They could, another team other than Fulham could have took us to the cleaners. The moping around, the feeling sorry for themselves. That's what they haven't got. When the chips are down, they haven't got that little oomph about them just to sort it out on the pitch together. We say we've got great leaders in Martinez and Mings, but just to really pull it together, we are struggling. Watkins is just devoid of any confidence. He's broke, man. He is broke. He needs to be dusted down, given a big hug, big love, and try and get him firing again. But I feel right now, I feel that they are confidence players and they can be lifted, and we'll see.
Because the thing is, when we do have a good result, and you're sort of thinking Manchester City at home, we're talking Manchester City, and then we just peter out, don't we? And there don't seem to be like an influx of confidence, and I've always thought that, and I don't understand why.
I think they still need players around them, better players around them. I really do. It'll be interesting to see how they react on Sunday when the relief I felt when the news come through that Gerrard had lost his job. The relief on the coach on the way home is a collective sigh of relief, as the pings were going around everybody's phone. So, are we going to see that after Players Sunday? We're going to see a big lift, and they perform. But long term, there is a lot of questions to be asked about these players, and a lot of rebuilding now. I think we've come from the Championship. We've got great memories together. We've stabilised ourselves in the Premiership, but it's stagnating. It's going a bit stale. And I really do feel that the core, potentially now, is time to say thank you very much. We've got the memories, and it's time to be ruthless now and rebuild. And love affairs are made to be broken, and they end, don't they? They do end. And I think this story, this moment with Villa now, it is starting to pass, and it's time for a big, fresh shake-up from the top, like Justin touched on with Purslow. I think he's got to be held accountable from the minute Grealish was sold. The Ings signing, the Bailey signing, they weren't Smiths, were they? They weren't Smiths. They were handed to Smith. He tried to shoehorn Watkins and Ings in together, changing his tactics to fit it in, and it just fell apart. And Purslow, off-field, the infrastructure that he's been doing, the smoozing with politicians, the train station with the mayor, and he's good at that. he's good at that, leaving to that. But footballing matters and transfers. You go back to his days at Liverpool where he's signing Joe Cole for 20 million when he can't hardly play a game. Just because, he's a big name, one of his Chelsea boys that he brought with him. I just don't feel that he should be involved in the football thing now. I think you've been given your chance now and you fell flat on your face. And it's harsh to say one managerial appointment and it's failed to say out the door. But I just feel it's everything else around the playing staff and the transfers. I'm not buying into the transfer strategy either. And that falls on Perslow's lap as well. So I think it is time. It is time for a big shake-up, I think.
Justin?
Yeah, I think what's missing is the manager. I think I'm really praying it's as simple as that. The wrong person has been in charge of us, and they set the tone, don't they, from the start? And I think a manager that comes in with clear, defined roles for everybody and that can unify that squad again and bring them all together, because I think it is fractured. I've said it numerous times that the foreign lads and the English lads don't seem to sort of have a lot to do with each other off the pitch. You see a lot of the Argentinians and the Brazilians all partying and around each other's houses for kids' stuff and things. You never see any English lads with them, and it's a shame because we built such a rapport as a club and the fan base and the owners and the manager and the captain that to see it as it is now, it breaks your heart because we can see in the not too distant past what this club can be and how happy a place it is, and that's gone. It's gone. It's been ripped away from us, and I'm praying this is the fresh start that we're all craving now, and that whoever the manager is comes in can just bring that back, because I think if they set the tone from day one and they bring them together and results matter massively. I know it's a stupid thing to say, but you get one or two results rolling and the feel-good factor comes back straight away. Even in the crap run we've been having now, had let's say that Coutinho chance gone in against Leeds at the inside of the post, we possibly would have gone on and beat Forest because that extra bit of confidence would have given us. And when we could have won last night, and it makes such a difference. And when you start losing games and you can't win and you can't score, they're snatching at chances and this is what a new manager is facing coming in. He's facing this monumental task now of coming in and trying to salvage what is essentially a very good team. It is a very, very good team. That first 11 is as good as anything in the bottom half by a mile, and probably half of the top half. I'll stand by that. I can't have that we're not good enough to compete with 75% of this division, and even the better teams we've competed with. We did well against Chelsea for an hour, and we held Man City at home. So you're telling me that there's not a team there that can compete with Forest and Fulham and Bournemouth and Leeds? It's bullshit. It's total and utter. It annoys me, because if we could get a manager in that just bought into us and love the club and try to sort of grasp what we are, which Gerrard never did. I'm sorry, that was one of his biggest failings. He never bought into Aston Villa Football Club. And we need somebody to do that. And if it means going for a lesser manager, but they can bring in that feel-good factor, I'll take that all day, every day, rather than an overpaying a bloke that's just going to come in for a payday and then disappear when a supposedly big job comes up. I think we've got to be careful what we wish for. And I just pray the next man is the right man, because we're on the brink of 50-50 here. We can go one way or the other. We want an Eddie Howe. We want somebody that can come in, steady the ship, move us on. It's a pivotal moment.
I feel right now that team that I seen last night, we're finishing bottom of the Premier League with that mentality and that lack of confidence. With
the mentality, yeah,
because we're in free fall. So with that mentality and that lack of confidence, so if we do get it wrong, I feel we're banging a relegation fight order. Really do.
That moves us on then to sort of like the final part of the episode. Brentford at home on Sunday at 2:00. We're going to be watching Danks ball. It's going to be Danks ball. Danks is the manager for now. So, a bit about bit about Brentford then. They're doing really well, aren't they? They're doing really, really well. Tony up front, absolute beast. They look blockbuster on the counter-attack. I watched their last game. They look really good. And I noticed one tactic that they were doing in the last game that I watched them play. I can't think who they beat, but whoever it was. The long diagonal over to Tony on all game. That is what one of their main tactics was. And it was one of the main tactics for Fulham to Mitrovic on the shoulder of Ezri Konsa. Konsa didn't have a clue where he was, did he? Didn't have an absolute clue where he was. So what am I expecting from Danks on Sunday? A Danks team then. I want to see a completely different formation to start with. What I normally see when we have an interim-ish manager is they normally pick the exact same team that the previous manager's been picking. And I don't think he should do that. I don't think he should pick the same formation. I think he should probably go with a 4-2-3-1 and change it completely. And I just think I want to see, like Ryan said earlier, the reaction from the players of what it's felt, the reaction from the fans, that relief, that release, that, it's. I want to see some passion. I want to see some aggression because
a bit of freedom.
Watching them, Villa against Fulham, was the worst performance I've seen from Villa since Steve Bruce performances. I'd say before that, it was so bad. I can't stress enough how bad. And this is why I went in on the players a little bit earlier. The things that I was seeing, the midfield three running towards the ball, having no clue, no organisation. Just a tactical awareness just wasn't there. And I just want to see them having a look at themselves and realising that everybody needs to up their game. And I think in front of them fans, we're going to need to see something. We need something to get behind, which I do feel like we will do. But there's got to be a reaction. There's got to be a big reaction. So, Justin, how are you feeling about Brentford?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm buzzing for it. I mean, the nightmare situation has ended. We haven't got to go there worried to death about another crap performance and sitting there just seeing it all unfold in front of our eyes. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. At home, sold out Villa Park. Whatever you think of Aaron Danks, he's been put in a pretty crap position. He came in under Smith. They've retained him for whatever reason for all this time. He's always seemed to be sidelined and a bit like Big Cuts as well, who I really like. I'm not a massive fan of the set piece coach. I think I'm hoping his days are numbered. But we've got to get behind Danks. He's going to try, and he's a local lad. He was saying today he's got a lot of friends and family that will be in the stands as well. And we need the 3 points. Let's be right. We've got to get the 3 points. It'll be a massive boost now to go and win a game. Give us a little bit of breathing space. So I hope he throws everything that he's seen under Gerrard over the last few weeks. I hope he's sat in the background watching what Gerrard's been doing, thinking, I could do so much better than this. I could set this team up so much better. You're not getting the best out of him there. You're not, that's not a good formation. And we can throw that formation, thank God, in the bin that Gerrard's just had for 12 months and we haven't been allowed to change. So I'm praying we see a different formation. I'm praying we see players that haven't been given a chance. I'm praying that they come out with renewed vigour, hopefully, a good start to the game, everybody getting behind them and hopefully winning the game. I think 4-2-3-1 suits us, probably has done since the Smith days because it worked a treat with Smith and realistically this is more or less the same team, barring one or two. So yeah, 4-2-3-1 would suit me down to the ground with, maybe Dendoncker and Louise in the sixes and then whoever you want in the eights, probably McGinn and Ramsey, in those further forward positions, and another, whoever you want in that front three, and then pick one forward. I'd love him to throw young Archer up top. I think that would give us a massive boost. He's got nothing to lose. He's certainly, he's not going to get the job full time, so he's not going to lose his job over it, is he? So it would be a real interesting manoeuvre to chuck him in. But yeah, just want to see us play well. I just want to see us play well.
That's what for like Danks now. Right, you're going to be managing a Premier League team in the Premier League. You've got, like you say, he's got days in the job. You've got a free hit. Like you've got a free hit to pick who you want. No pressure, and just go for it. You know what I mean? Get them lads rolled up and say, look, free it, lads. Free it. Go out there, express yourself, keep it structured, keep it tight, and just go and be the players that you can be. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think you got to throw Archer in. I think that will just galvanise the crowd, gives us something to get behind right from the off, doesn't it? But it was interesting yesterday because half time was just approaching, and Danks and Cutler were the only ones that sort of walked past the away end and sort of like give the away fans a bit of a nod. Everybody else swerved it. Oh my God. Gerrard swerve last night. Jesus God. You know the way he used to hit the ball and swing it? That was like his swerve coming from the dugout. He was up the pitch and swerved all the way back down. But Sunday, just renewed optimism, positivity. We go down there and it's a tough game. Look, it's a very tough game against a very well-drilled, very well-organised, headstrong Brentford side that know exactly what they're doing. Every player knows his position. He knows what is required of them. So it's it's a tough game.
The positive I would take from it is Brentford have not got a clue what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Surely a positive. Because they ain't got a clue what formation we're playing, who's going to be playing, or what. So just bring some surprise. Do you know what I mean?
You know, I wouldn't be averse to going 3 at the back and playing maybe Bailey and Cash wing backs, and using them as attacking options. I just don't know. I think why not just go for it?
That's Amarin's preferred
3-4-3.
Yeah, formation is that.
So why not? I think didn't Bailey come on and play that in the Everton game when he came on and scored last season? He came on as left wing back. I know he was already winning by then, but use him as an attacking outlet. Just tell the lad to go and take someone on.
Yeah, these players have got to be played to their strength set now for too long. Yeah. They've been restricted now. Just let them go. Yeah. You're going to go on that pitch, energized. Oh, okay, I've got a bit of freedom. I can attack. I can go. If I want to not keep narrow and want to go wide a little bit, go out there, make something happen. Go and create a magic moment, So
let's not go there again.
Go ahead, stop
it. To be fair, that is Steven Gerrard's legacy. He has nestled himself nicely in between Paul Lambert, Steve Bruce, and David O'Leary if he's on his ball. So he's nestled in there.
I've got something interesting that I want everybody that's watching to do. First, I want you to press the like button. You need to press this like button. If you're new, you need to subscribe. And before we go, I want you in the comments now to let me know what Justin should do with that Steven Gerrard cutout. I'm saying he should let it off on a firework. So, Villa fans, let us know what he should do with that cutout. So, I'm going to go. There will be a predicted lineup, so I'm going to have a bit of fun with that. I'm going to try and figure out what we're going to do. That'll be out tomorrow at some time. So, we'll go with our score predictions for this game then. 2-2. I'm going 2-2. Justin?
We're going to win. Confidence back. We haven't got to worry. 2-1 Villa win. Last minute winner.
Everyone's saying put this on a bonfire. Ryan?
Drop him off at the Hawthorns, I reckon, innit? They're after a manager.
All the morning, yeah?
Go and dump him in West Brom. I am going to go a score draw as well. 1-1. 1-1.
Yeah,
glue it to the side of St Andrews.
Mate, they love him. They're celebrating him. Can't take him down there. He's a hero there at the minute. Yeah.
I might take him down Villa Park on Sunday and throw him at Purslow.
First, I'll take it home. You're going cuddle it.
Purslow, yeah. He's got 3 already.
His wife out of bed.
He's got one already. He sleeps with it.
So funny. So right, we need some positivity now, don't we? We need to get the positive vibes back on the podcast. Positive vibes in and around Villa Park, and let's try and not have this doom and gloom, because it's been difficult, doing these bloody videos and having to be negative and pick things apart, and it's not been great. So hopefully we're going to make this appointment. Hopefully it'll be end of the weekend where we get the name of who's coming in, really. So I think that's going to be important. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We've had over 600 of you continually watching the show, so that's just massive, to be fair. And you've been brilliant with the channel. So we're close to 9K. So let's get it there. Drop the videos a like. Does anyone want to add anything before we go?
Just keep the faith. We will be back. We'll get somebody in and we'll be buzzing again at some point in the not too distant future.
And if you've enjoyed the meltdowns, I'm sure when the badge gets released, there'll be another one. So,
oh yeah, the badge. We haven't
keep
seen the badge, have we?
No. It's took a back seat at the minute, hasn't it? So,
and I'm really glad the Louise sending off has been rescinded as well.
Oh, that's important as well. That was definitely important, because I don't understand what they were looking at. I mean,
Terrible decision. As soon as it happened, I thought that's not a red, and I absolved him of all blame last night, Louise, and I got a few pelters on Twitter. And I understand what people were saying, that he shouldn't put himself in that position. But if you look at it, he literally just stands there and he comes for him. I think they were expecting just a touch head, like you see quite regularly, like pushing each other heads.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as Mitrovic felt a touch, he went down like an. Well, I ain't going to say it, but
when Oliver went to the video, the TV screen, it's virtually in the middle of the Fulham fans, and there was all gathering around the telly, and there was all in. But
you tell me, Ryan, how a ref has seen that and decided that he's not sure, and then their VAR have seen it, told him to go over. They've all thrust at least 3 top officials last night have gone and watched that and decided it's a red card. Yet they've watched it the day after, exactly the same footage, and decided it's not a red card. It's ridiculous.
Where do you go?
I mean, that's ultimately it hasn't cost Gerrard his job, because he was gone anyway. But you imagine if we'd lost that game off the back of that, off just that.
Yeah,
instance,
of course.
It annoys me. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Where'd you go though, man? Is it time to start sticking some ex-players at Stockley Park? Some people that know the game and have played the game. I'm not talking you have to be Premier League elite levels, Championship, League One players. People that have experience playing and know these little tricks of the trade. That Mitrovic, man, he should be embarrassed, man.
Well, surely he should be.
The lump of what he is
for that.
Yeah.
Shouldn't he be done for that?
Exactly. Yeah. Shame on him, man. Shame. Poor that is.
Cool. Right, we'll be back tomorrow with our predicted lineup. Nice little cheeky episode for a Saturday. And then we'll be back with our match reaction after the game on Sunday, where we're talking about a positive performance, a positive result, and hopefully a new manager coming in at the start of the week. Cheers for your support, and up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.